Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're unpacking the 905 Wood Digital Refinery. We're going to look at how this incredibly chaotic physical liability, specifically construction wood waste, is completely transformed into a highly valuable, risk-free digital asset. It's this absolutely fascinating state change, right? Going straight from matter into data and ultimately into money. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First up, the $1,000 dumpster. Second, the failure risk ledger. Third, the unified compliance PDF. Fourth, we'll look at the sub-second edge engine. And finally, matter into money.
All right, section 1, the $1,000 dumpster, beyond the bin.
So we really need to completely shift our perspective today. If you're a general contractor or a logistics manager, you might just look at a bin and think, well, it's a dumpster. How complicated can it really be? Well, as it turns out, moving waste in Ontario is no longer just some basic logistics task. Actually, it is a massive, serious balance sheet liability, completely fraught with these hidden failure risks. And to really put that liability into perspective, just look at this number. $100,000. Yeah, that is the maximum fine per violation under Ontario Regulation 347. So, if you misclassify a load or just fail to maintain an audit-proof chain of custody, your financial exposure is just massive. And the pressure? It's coming from literally all sides in what we can call a regulatory pincer. Look at all these converging threats here. On August 19, 2026, you've got these 50% USMCA tariffs hitting Canadian wood entering the US. Meanwhile, Michigan is hiking their tipping fees from 36 cents all the way up to $5 a ton. Back home, Ontario's OREG 347 rules are tightening up, and the province is staring down this looming landfill capacity cliff by 2034. Essentially, the two absolute cheapest disposal doors are slamming shut at the exact same time.
Which brings us to section 2, the failure risk ledger, pricing transportation liability.
Let's actually examine the specific risks of putting a walking floor mothership fleet right on Ontario roads. Historically, this relies heavily on human classifiers, who can cost anywhere from $65 to $80 a year, and naturally, they suffer from operational fatigue, which means non-compliant materials are definitely going to slip through. But contrast that huge analog failure risk with the reward of the 905 Wood Digital Refinery solution, specifically the Pixel 10 Pro Gate. For a $999 device, you're getting a totally sterile, fatigue-free digital edge AI. It's running 24/7, effectively dropping that human error rate down to near zero. Because here's the thing, when humans fail, those hidden Ontario transportation insurance costs and liabilities, they stack up incredibly fast. Every single load carries real, tangible exposure. We're talking skyrocketing environmental liability premiums for contaminated loads. You've got $1.89 per liter for diesel fuel surcharge, $225 carrier dispatch fees, and of course, those towering OREG 347 non-compliance fines we talked about. At its core, moving wood is fundamentally an insurance problem. All right, moving to section 3, the unified compliance PDF, the shield. So how do you actually protect your balance sheet from all that? Well, the answer is the ultimate UI/UX output of the reporting.905wood.com workflow. It's a cryptographically signed PDF. Let's unveil the 4 pillars of this formatted documentation. You've got your USMCA Shield Certificate of Origin, your electronic OREG 347 manifests, the Zero Levy Report Card, and finally, the Puro.Earth CORC registry entry. The first pillar directly addresses that looming border crisis. This PDF includes a highly synthesized, 9-point, strictly date-time stamped audit trail that establishes the material right under HS code 3825.0 that essentially certifies it as wholly obtained in Canada. And this brilliant legal shielding means the load passes border enforcement completely tariff-exempt. It's a total game changer. Now, domestically, the PDF tackles Circuol, which is Ontario's wood waste levy, and this carries a massive $55 spread. Clean loads, they're taxed at $5 a ton, whereas mixed, unverified loads get slammed with a $60 penalty. And here is exactly why this matters so directly to your bottom line. By proving the load is clean, this PDF guarantees cumulative Circuli levy avoidance savings of over $1,050 per mothership. That is a perfectly auditable financial win, completely formatted and ready for your CFO and your ESG auditors. Okay, section 4, the sub-second edge engine, deployed versus roadmap.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly how this state change is happening. Notice the sheer density of the hardware specs on this roadmap, literally stepping in to replace human fatigue. Today, we've got the Pixel 10 Pro with a Tensor G5 running light RTLM at the edge, backed up by Claude Opus 4.6 and Gemini 3.x in the Cloud Console. But looking ahead, they're already pushing toward the Tensor G6 NPU and integrating turbo-quant compression. This whole setup is essentially the sentient bridge that ensures those crazy high-purity requirements of the market are met, literally in an instant.
But raw AI processing just isn't enough on its own. It has to be legally binding. So the system uses what's called cryptographic hardware sealing. In under 500 milliseconds, which is incredibly fast, it takes tamper-evident GPS pinning down to plus or minus 1 meter, along with precise date-time stamped kernel hashes, and binds them directly to the classification. It physically binds the state of the wood to the immutable data of the PDF, giving you ironclad, court-admissible evidence.
Finally, Section 5, Matter into Money, the decoupled invoice. This is the part where the digital twin directly realizes tangible financial value. The whole 905 Wood Digital Refinery workflow ends with this, a 7-line stripe decoupled invoice. So you're not just getting some flat disposal fee anymore, you're getting a fully transparent 7-line breakdown. It lists your locked rate base logistics, the net weight, the $5 clean circle levy, your diversion pass certificate, dispatch fees, and fuel surcharges. But really look closely at line 7, the carbon dividend. That 7th line represents a truly staggering value, $2,721. That right there is the carbon dividend generated per mothership when the clean wood is registered on the Puro.Earth registry. Now, this dividend is retained by 905 Wood, sure, but it's the exact financial mechanism that actively funds and subsidizes those dramatically lower base logistics rates you get to enjoy up front. And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute core thesis of the entire platform. Quote, you're not buying a bin, you're buying a document that lowers your risk-adjusted cost of moving wood. Think about that. The 905 Wood Digital Refinery is in reality an audit-proof data company that just happens to move wood. It's offering a powerful automated self-insurance mechanism right for your balance sheet.
So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought today. If sub-second edge AI and a completely verified, cryptographically signed PDF can entirely replace your physical liability out on the roads, can you really afford to keep paying for a simple dumpster? The regulatory walls are completely closing in, and the true cost of unverified waste, it's literally only going up. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.